The bright stars of the Kepler system had never seen warships before. Now 12 massive vessels hung in the darkness like metal giants. Their hulls gleamed with the purple glow of quantum shields, and plasma cannons pointed toward the small, human colony on the fourth planet. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the primitive world through the viewing screen. His four eyes studied the simple buildings and basic defense towers scattered across the planet's surface. After 47 conquests, this would be easy. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet," reported his communications officer. "Put it through," Vex commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had never lost a battle. The screen flickered, showing a middle-aged human man in simple clothes. Governor Kane looked tired but calm as he spoke. "This is Governor Kane, of New Haven Colony. We know why you're here. We've heard about what happened to other worlds. We're not interested in joining your empire, but we don't want to fight either." Vex laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You speak as if you have a choice, primitive. I am Admiral Vex of the Dominion Third Fleet. You will surrender your world and submit to Imperial rule, or we will take it by force." Kane rubbed his forehead and sighed. "Admiral, I'm going to say this once, and I hope you listen carefully. We don't want to hurt anyone. We just want to live in peace. But if you force us to fight, you won't like what happens. Please think about this." The bridge crew around Vex began to chuckle. These humans were even weaker than expected. Their leader was practically begging. "Your warning amuses me," Vex said. "I have conquered worlds with weapons you cannot imagine. I have destroyed fleets that could turn your little colony to dust in seconds. What could you possibly do to threaten the might of the Dominion Empire?" Kane's expression didn't change. "We've been watching your ships for 3 days. Your quantum shields work by creating an energy barrier that deflects plasma and energy weapons. Very impressive technology. But Admiral, energy isn't the only way to destroy something." "Enough," Vex snapped. "You have 1 hour to surrender or we begin bombardment." The transmission ended. Kane's face disappeared from the screen. Vex turned to his weapons officer. "Begin scanning their defenses. Let's see what these primitives think will protect them." The scans showed exactly what Vex expected. The humans had built simple metal towers around their settlements. No energy shields, no plasma cannons, no quantum disruptors. Just basic railguns that fired metal projectiles using magnetic fields. Railguns? Vex's tactical officer couldn't hide his amusement. "Sir, they're using technology we abandoned 3,000 years ago." "Their ships are just as primitive," added the science officer. "Thick metal armor instead of shields, chemical rockets instead of quantum drives. They build everything heavy and slow." Vex nodded. "Prepare for standard bombardment pattern. Target their defense towers first, then their power stations. We'll show them what real weapons can do." The hour passed quickly. Right on schedule, Vex gave the order. "All ships, open fire." 12 Dominion cruisers lit up the darkness with brilliant plasma beams. The purple energy lanced down toward the planet, striking the human defense towers directly. That's when everything went wrong. The plasma beams hit the towers and simply disappeared. The energy was absorbed into the metal structure like water, into sand. The towers didn't even seem damaged. "What?" Vex stared at the screen. "That's impossible. Nothing can absorb that much plasma energy." Before anyone could answer, the human towers began to move. They rotated slowly, their long metal barrels pointing up toward the Dominion fleet. "Sir, they're targeting us," the tactical officer reported, his voice suddenly nervous. "Let them try," Vex said, but his confidence was shaking. "Our shields can handle anything they—" The first railgun fired. There was no bright flash, no colorful beam of energy. Just a small metal projectile, no bigger than a telephone pole, launched by magnetic fields at incredible speed. It hit Vex's flagship in less than 2 seconds. The quantum shields, designed to stop energy weapons, might as well have been made of paper. The metal rod punched through them like they weren't even there. It tore through the ship's hull, through 3 decks, through the engine room, and out the other side. Alarms screamed across the bridge as the ship shuddered and began to list to one side. "Shields down. Hull breach on decks 4 through 6. Engine power at 30%, the damage control officer shouted. More railguns fired from the planet's surface. Simple metal projectiles, but moving so fast they carried the energy of small nuclear bombs. The Dominion ships, built for fighting energy weapons, had no defense against solid matter moving at such incredible speeds. The cruiser Vengeance took a direct hit to its command section. The bridge exploded in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. The ship went dead in space. Another projectile clipped the destroyer Swift Death, spinning it like a toy and sending it tumbling out of formation. "Return fire, all weapons," Vex ordered. The Dominion fleet unleashed everything they had: plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, disruptor beams. The space around the human colony lit up like a small sun as enormous amounts of energy poured down toward the planet. The human settlements had shields after all, but not the kind Vex understood. Instead of energy barriers, they had built thick metal domes that absorbed and redirected energy. The plasma fire that should have melted their buildings instead powered their weapons. More railguns fired. The destroyer Night Terror simply disappeared. As a projectile hit its reactor core, the explosion lit up half the system. "Sir, we're being slaughtered," his tactical officer reported. 3 ships destroyed, 5 heavily damaged. Their weapons are penetrating our shields like they're not. Even there, Vex couldn't understand it. How could primitive kinetic weapons be so effective against advanced Dominion technology? On the planet's surface, Governor Kane watched the battle from his underground command center. Around him, his defense coordinators worked calmly at their stations. "Railgun Battery 7, good hit on their flagship," reported Defense Coordinator Mills. "Railgun Battery 3, you clipped that destroyer nicely." "Governor," said his science advisor, Dr. Webb, "their shields are designed for energy absorption and deflection, but kinetic energy is different. A solid object moving fast enough carries massive amounts of force. Their shields can't redirect that kind of impact." Kane nodded grimly. "It's basic physics. They forgot that sometimes the old ways work best." In space, Admiral Vex finally accepted what his sensors were telling him. His advanced fleet was losing to primitive weapons that his ancestors might have used. "All ships, retreat. Fall back to the outer system." The surviving Dominion vessels turned and fled, their quantum drives carrying them away from the deadly, accurate railguns. As the last enemy ship disappeared, Kane opened a communication channel to the retreating fleet. "Admiral Vex, if you can hear this, remember what I told you. We warned you, we didn't want this fight. Think carefully before you come back." In his damaged flagship, Vex stared at the communication display. For the first time in his career, he had been defeated. Not by superior technology or overwhelming numbers, but by an enemy who understood war in ways he had never considered. The humans had been right about one thing. He didn't like what had happened at all. The throne room of Emperor Thane had seen many victory celebrations. Today it witnessed something new: defeat. Admiral Vex knelt before the golden steps, his uniform torn and his pride shattered. Around him, the Emperor's War Council whispered in disbelief. "Explain to me," Emperor Thane said slowly, his voice echoing through the vast chamber, "how 12 of our finest warships were defeated by primitive colonists." Vex kept his eyes on the floor. "Your Majesty, their weapons, they were not what we expected. Simple railguns, but firing projectiles at speeds we have never encountered. Our quantum shields were useless." General Mars, the Emperor's chief military advisor, stepped forward. "Impossible. Kinetic weapons are ancient technology. No civilized species has used them for thousands of years." "These humans are not civilized," Vex replied. "At least not in the way we understand. They fight like savages who have learned to use starships." Emperor Thane rose from his throne, his tall figure casting a shadow over the defeated admiral. "Bring me the prisoners. I want to understand what we're dealing with." 3 human prisoners were brought into the throne room in energy chains. They walked calmly, showing no fear despite being surrounded by armed guards. The leader, a woman with captain's stripes on her torn uniform, looked directly at the Emperor. "I am Captain Torres of the New Haven Defense Force," she said. "Are we here to talk, or are you planning to execute us?" The boldness shocked the assembled court. No prisoner had ever spoken so casually to Emperor Thane. "You will show respect," General Mars barked. Captain Torres shrugged. "Respect is earned. So far, your empire has only shown us that it attacks peaceful colonies. Not very impressive. Emperor Thane raised a hand to silence his general. He studied the human woman with interest. Tell me, Captain Torres, how did your primitive weapons defeat our advanced fleet? Torres smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. Your weapons are very advanced. I'll give you that. Plasma cannons, quantum shields, energy disruptors, very flashy. But you know what? They all follow the same basic rules. What rules? Asked Dr. Kryn, the Emperor's science advisor. Energy rules, Torres explained. Your shields absorb energy, redirect it or deflect it. Your weapons use energy to cause damage. Everything in your military follows energy-based physics. She paused, looking around the room at the confused faces. But kinetic energy is different. A big chunk of metal moving, really fast doesn't care about your fancy shields. It just punches through everything in its way. Basic physics that apparently you've forgotten. General Mars stepped closer to the prisoner. Your people still fight with primitive weapons because you are primitive. The Dominion has evolved beyond such crude methods. Torres laughed, a sound that made several guards step back nervously. Evolved, is that what you call it? She said. Let me tell you something about humans, General. We've been fighting wars for thousands of years. Not against aliens, against each other. Every weapon we build, every tactic we use, has been tested in real combat against other humans. She gestured to her fellow prisoners. Lieutenant Beck here has fought in 3 different wars before he was 30. Sergeant Cole survived urban combat on Mars. Me? I commanded a destroyer during the Belt Wars. We've all been fighting since we were old enough to hold weapons. Dr. Kryn leaned forward with interest. Your species still wages war among itself? We try not to, Torres admitted, but we're not very good at staying peaceful. Humans fight. It's what we do. We fight over resources, territory, ideas, sometimes just because we're bored. The throne room fell silent. The concept was alien to them. Most species in the galaxy had achieved peace within their own kind before reaching the stars. While you were building your empire by conquering weaker species, Torres continued, we were learning how to kill other humans. And humans are tricky, smart, and desperate when cornered. We had to get very good at warfare to survive each other. Emperor Thane returned to his throne, processing this information. So you are saying your entire species is militaristic? Not exactly, Torres said. We don't like war. Most of us want peace. But we're prepared for war because we know it always comes eventually. Every human child learns basic combat skills. Every human settlement has defense plans. Every human ship can fight if needed. She looked directly at the Emperor. We sent your Admiral a warning. We've sent the same warning to 46 other species before you conquered them. We don't want to fight, but we will if we have to. General Mars scoffed. 46 warnings? Where were you when those species needed help? Torres's expression hardened. We tried to help. We sent messages offering alliance, trade agreements, mutual defense pacts. Every single species turned us down. They said we were too violent, too primitive, too dangerous to associate with. And then you conquered them anyway, added Lieutenant Beck quietly. The uncomfortable truth settled over the throne room. The Dominion had indeed conquered 46 species, many of whom had rejected human offers of alliance. Emperor Thane stood again. Guards, take the prisoners to comfortable quarters. They are to be treated well. After the humans were escorted out, the Emperor turned to his advisors. What do you think? Dr. Kryn spoke first. Your Majesty, if what they say is true, we may have seriously underestimated this species. A race that has spent millennia perfecting warfare would indeed be formidable. They're bluffing, General Mars insisted. No species could be that militaristic and still achieve spaceflight. They would have destroyed themselves. Or, said Admiral Vex quietly, they learned to control their violence enough to survive, but not enough to forget how to use it. The next day, a human ship arrived at the capital world under a flag of truce. Ambassador Reed, a stern woman in formal diplomatic attire, requested an audience with Emperor Thane. She was received in the smaller council chamber, accompanied by 2 guards and carrying a simple briefcase. "Your Majesty," she began without ceremony. "I come with a message from the United Human Colonies. We know what happened at Kepler. We know you've imprisoned our people. We're here to prevent this situation from getting worse." Emperor Thane leaned back in his chair. "You speak boldly for someone representing a species that just attacked Imperial forces." "We defended ourselves," Reed corrected, "after warning your admiral to leave us alone. Now I'm here with the same warning on a larger scale." She opened her briefcase and pulled out a data pad. "This contains detailed information about every species you've conquered in the last century. Communications logs, defense analyses, economic data. We've been watching your empire expand for a long time." The Emperor's advisors exchanged glances. How had primitive humans gathered such intelligence? "We sent messages to 46 species before you conquered them," Reed continued. "Offers of alliance, defense pacts, technology sharing. Every single one refused our help. They said we were too violent, too unpredictable." She set the data pad on the table. "Then you conquered them anyway, just like we warned they would be." "What is your point, Ambassador?" General Mars asked impatiently. Reed looked directly at Emperor Thane. "My point is simple. We don't want your empire. We don't want to conquer anyone. We just want to be left alone. But we won't be conquered, and we won't watch you destroy more innocent species." She stood up. "Stop your expansion now. Leave human space alone. Find a way to coexist peacefully with the species you've already conquered. Do this, and we can avoid a war that nobody wants." Emperor Thane considered her words carefully. "And if I refuse?" Ambassador Reed's expression didn't change. "Then you'll learn what 46 dead civilizations never had a chance to discover. Humans keep their promises, Your Majesty, both the good ones and the bad ones." She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Captain Torres and her people should be released immediately. They were defending their home. Any civilized species would understand that." After she left, the throne room remained quiet for a long time. Finally, Emperor Thane spoke. "What do you think they meant about promises?" Admiral Vex, still recovering from his defeat, replied quietly. "I think, Your Majesty, that we're about to find out." The Emperor stared at the data pad the human ambassador had left behind. His empire had conquered 46 species in a century of expansion. He had never lost a battle, never faced real resistance, but he had never fought humans before. "General Mars," he said finally, "begin mobilizing the fleet. If these humans want a war, we'll give them one they'll never forget." What Emperor Thane didn't realize was that humans had been preparing for exactly this kind of war for their entire history, and unlike the 46 species that had fallen before them, humans had a very long memory for those who refused to listen to warnings. 600 Dominion warships gathered at the edge of human space. It was the largest fleet the Empire had ever assembled, half of their entire military force. Emperor Thane had decided to crush the human rebellion once and for all. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. His previous ship was still being repaired after the humiliating defeat at Kepler. This time, he would not underestimate the humans. "All fleet commanders report status," he ordered, into his communication device. One by one, the responses came back. 600 ships, 12,000 crew members, enough firepower to turn a planet into dust. The largest military force in Dominion history. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the Aurora system. It's the humans." The main screen flickered to life, showing a middle-aged human man in a simple military uniform. Commander Blake looked tired, like someone who hadn't slept in days. "This is Commander Blake of the Aurora Defense Fleet. I'm broadcasting to all Dominion ships in our system. You still have time to turn around and go home." Admiral Vex laughed, bitterly. "Commander Blake, you are facing 600 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. Your little colony has perhaps 20 ships. Surrender now, and we might let your people live." Blake rubbed his eyes and sighed. "Admiral, I've been in this business for 30 years. I've fought in 7 wars, commanded ships in 12 major battles, and I've never lost a single engagement. You know why? Enlighten me, Vex replied sarcastically. Because I only fight battles I can win, Blake said simply. And Admiral, you can't win this one. The transmission ended. Vex stared at the blank screen for a moment, then turned to his fleet commanders. All ships attack formation, we end this quickly. The Dominion fleet moved forward in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with quantum shields and plasma weapons, charged to full power. It was a sight that had terrified 46 species into submission. The human ships that came to meet them looked like scrap metal compared to the elegant Dominion vessels. Only 18 ships, built heavy and ugly, with thick armor plating and crude weapon mounts. Sir, the human fleet is moving to intercept, reported the tactical officer. They're not using standard formation tactics. Vex studied the display. The human ships were spreading out in a seemingly random pattern, not following any military doctrine he recognized. It doesn't matter, he said. Open fire when we reach weapons range. The space between the two fleets lit up with plasma fire as the Dominion ships opened their attack. Brilliant beams of energy lanced across the darkness, striking the human vessels directly. The human ships didn't try to dodge. They took the hits on their thick armor and kept coming. Direct hits on all targets, reported the weapons officer. But sir, their armor is absorbing most of the damage. These ships are built like flying fortresses. That's when the human ships fired back. But they didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, they launched hundreds of small objects, metal containers no bigger than cargo pods. What are those? Vex demanded. His science officer studied the readings. Unknown, sir. They appear to be simple metal containers. No energy signatures, no obvious weapon systems. The containers drifted closer to the Dominion fleet, moving slowly and silently through space. Several ship commanders requested permission to destroy them, but Vex was curious. What kind of weapon looked so harmless? The first container reached, the cruiser Eternal Victory. It attached itself to the hull with a soft magnetic clamp looking completely innocent. Then it exploded, but not with fire or energy. Instead, it released a cloud of gray dust that began eating through the ship's hull like acid. Within minutes, the outer armor was dissolving and the dust was spreading to nearby ships. What is that substance? Vex shouted. Unknown, sir. It appears to be some kind of corrosive agent. It's dissolving our hull materials at the molecular level. More containers reached other ships. Some exploded into clouds of metal fragments that punched through hulls like bullets. Others released sticky substances that jammed weapon systems and clogged engine intakes. The humans were using chemical weapons, something no civilized species had done in thousands of years. All ships, emergency washdown procedures, Vex ordered. Purge all external systems, but the human attack was just beginning. While the Dominion crews dealt with the chemical weapons, the human ships moved closer and launched their second surprise. Boarding pods. They looked like simple metal boxes with crude rocket motors attached. No shields, no fancy technology, just thick armor and a single purpose, to punch through enemy hulls and deliver human soldiers directly onto enemy ships. Sir, multiple hull breaches. The humans are boarding our ships. Vex watched in disbelief as dozens of boarding pods crashed into his fleet. They hit with such force that they buried themselves deep in the ship hulls, then opened like flowers to release their contents. Human soldiers poured out of the pods, armed with simple but deadly weapons. They moved through the ship corridors, like they had been born for this kind of fighting. On the cruiser Nightbringer, Captain Kex found himself facing human boarders in his own ship's corridors. The humans moved in small groups, covering each other with precision that spoke of years of practice. The leader, a scarred human with sergeant's stripes, kicked down a door and tossed something inside. The Dominion crew members in the room collapsed, overcome by some kind of gas. Surrender now and you won't be hurt, the sergeant called out in perfect Dominion language. Fight, and we'll have to do this the hard way. Captain Kex had never fought in hand-to-hand combat. Like most Dominion officers, he had relied on superior technology and overwhelming firepower. The idea of actually boarding an enemy ship and fighting room by room was barbaric, but it was also terrifyingly effective. Meanwhile, Commander Blake's flagship approached the Dominion command vessel. His ship was badly damaged, with hull breaches, venting atmosphere, and one engine completely destroyed. "Sir," reported his first officer, "we're losing power. Hull integrity at 30%. We can't take much more punishment." Blake studied the tactical display. The battle was going better than expected, but they were still outnumbered 30-1. Traditional tactics wouldn't win this fight. "Set course for the Dominion flagship," he ordered. "Sir?" "You heard me. Ramming speed, and evacuate all non-essential personnel to the escape pods." The first officer stared at his commander. "Sir, that's suicide." Blake smiled grimly. "Son, sometimes suicide is just another tactic. Make sure the reactor is set for controlled overload on my command." The damaged human ship accelerated toward Vex's flagship, its engines pushing far beyond safe limits. Plasma fire from a dozen Dominion ships hammered the vessel, but it kept coming. "They're trying to ram us," shouted Vex's tactical officer. "Evasive maneuvers." But the massive Dominion flagship was too slow to avoid the smaller, more maneuverable human vessel. Blake's ship struck just below the main engine section, and both vessels locked together in a deadly embrace. "All hands, abandon ship," Blake ordered over the general comm. Then more quietly to his first officer, "Execute reactor overload in 60 seconds. The explosion that followed lit up half the system. Both ships disappeared in a ball of nuclear fire, but the blast wave from the detonation crippled 6 nearby Dominion vessels and scattered the fleet formation. General Voss, commanding the human ground forces, watched the sacrifice from his own ship and felt the familiar anger that had carried him through 20 years of warfare. "All boarding teams. This is Voss," he broadcast. "Commander Blake just gave his life for this mission. Make it count. Show them what happens when humans fight." The boarding actions intensified. Human soldiers moved through Dominion ships with a brutality that shocked their enemies. They used weapons that violated every rule of civilized warfare: explosive charges in confined spaces, chemical agents that burned through breathing apparatus, and tactics that seemed designed to cause maximum terror. But it wasn't random violence. Every human assault was carefully planned and executed with military precision. They targeted critical systems first: life support, weapons control, engine rooms. Within minutes of boarding, entire Dominion ships were helpless. The psychological effect was devastating. Dominion crews had never faced an enemy willing to die to win a battle. The idea of ramming attacks, suicide missions, and chemical weapons was completely alien to their military doctrine. As the battle continued, more human ships made desperate attacks. The destroyer Quick Strike rammed 2 Dominion cruisers, taking both vessels out of the fight. The frigate Home Guard detonated its weapon magazine while grappled to an enemy dreadnought, destroying both ships in the explosion. Of the 600 ships that had entered the Aurora system, fewer than 50 managed to escape. The human fleet was almost completely destroyed, but they had achieved the impossible, defeating a force 30 times their size. Admiral Vex, his uniform torn and his face bloody from a hull breach, sat in his emergency command pod and stared at the tactical display. The numbers didn't make sense. How could 18 human ships destroy his entire fleet? His communication officer, one of the few crew members still conscious, looked up from his station. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human colony." The screen showed Governor Kane, the same human who had warned them at Kepler. "Admiral Vex, I hope you're still alive to hear this. We told you we didn't want to fight. We warned you what would happen if you forced us to. Commander Blake and his people died because you wouldn't listen." Kane's expression was sad, not triumphant. "We've sent the same message to your Emperor. Stop this war now, before more people have to die. We don't enjoy killing, Admiral, but we're very, very good at it." As the transmission ended, Vex finally understood what the humans had been trying to tell them all along. This wasn't a species that had evolved past warfare. It was a species that had perfected it. And now the Dominion Empire was at war with an enemy that had been preparing for this fight for thousands of years. Emperor Thane stood alone in his private chamber, staring at the holographic display that showed the remains of his fleet. 600 ships reduced to wreckage, 12,000 of his finest warriors dead or captured. The largest military disaster in Dominion history. Behind him, the door chimed softly. General Mars entered, his face pale with defeat. "Your Majesty," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "The outer colonies they're declaring independence. The Zelons on Sector 7, the Krites in the mining systems. They've heard about Aurora. Emperor Thane didn't turn around." "How many?" 14 systems so far. More are considering it. They say if humans can defeat us, maybe they can too." The Emperor finally faced his general. His face showed an emotion his subjects had never seen before: fear. "We cannot appear weak," Thane said slowly. "If the Empire falls apart now, everything we've built will be lost. Everything my father built and his father before him." "What are your orders, Your Majesty?" Thane walked to his massive star map, showing the Dominion Empire in all its glory. Hundreds of systems, billions of subjects, the work of generations. "Mobilize everything," he said. "Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. We attack their homeworld directly. If we destroy Earth, the humans will surrender." "General," Mars stepped back in shock. "Your Majesty, that would leave our own worlds defenseless. If we commit our entire military to one attack—" "Then we better not lose," Thane interrupted. "Prepare the Grand Fleet, every available ship. We end this war with one decisive battle." 3 weeks later, the largest armada in galactic history assembled at the edge of the Sol system. Over 2,000 Dominion warships representing the entire military might of the Empire. Dreadnoughts that could crack planets, carriers filled with fighter craft, battleships armed with weapons that could destroy moons. Emperor Thane commanded the fleet personally from his massive flagship, the pride of Empire. He had never lost a battle in his 40 years of rule. Today he would crush the humans and restore his empire's reputation. "All fleet commanders, report readiness," he commanded. The responses came back quickly. 2,047 ships ready for battle, the most powerful military force ever assembled. "Sir," reported his intelligence officer, "our scouts confirm that Earth has significant orbital defenses, defense platforms, weapon satellites, mining stations converted to military use." "How many ships are defending the system?" Thane asked. "Approximately 300, Your Majesty. But sir, they appear to be civilian vessels that have been armed. Cargo ships, passenger liners, even old mining barges." Thane smiled for the first time in weeks. 300 civilian ships against our Grand Fleet? This will be over quickly. What the scouts didn't report was what they couldn't see. Hidden in the asteroid belt, disguised as mining equipment, were weapon systems the humans had been building for decades. Every major asteroid had been hollowed out and turned into a fortress. The moon itself was one giant military base. Admiral Cross stood in the Defense Command Center buried deep under the surface of Luna. Around her, hundreds of technicians worked at control stations, coordinating the defense of humanity's home system. "Ma'am," reported her tactical officer, "the Dominion fleet is entering the outer system. 2,000 ships confirmed." Cross nodded calmly. She was 70 years old, a veteran of every major human conflict in the past 50 years. She had fought in the Mars Rebellion, the Belt Wars, and the Jupiter campaign. Today would be her greatest challenge. "Send the final warning," she ordered. The transmission went out on all frequencies, reaching every ship in the Dominion fleet. "This is Admiral Cross of Earth Defense Command. You are entering the Sol system without permission. You have one chance: to turn around and leave. We don't want to fight you, but if you force us to, you won't survive it." On his flagship, Emperor Thane listened to the warning and laughed. "One old woman thinks she can stop the Grand Fleet? Begin the attack." The Dominion Armada moved forward in perfect formation, their weapons charging and shields at maximum power. It was a sight that should have terrified any defender. But the humans had learned something during their long history of warfare. Sometimes, the best defense is letting your enemy come to you. The first sign that something was wrong came when the fleet reached the outer asteroid belt. What looked like simple mining equipment suddenly began moving, revealing massive weapon systems hidden in the rocks. "Sir, the asteroids are firing on us," shouted the tactical officer. Railgun batteries that had been disguised as mining extractors opened fire, launching projectiles the size of buildings at incredible speeds. The lead Dominion ships, expecting to face only the small human fleet, found themselves under attack from every direction. The battleship Eternal Glory took a direct hit from an asteroid-mounted weapon and broke in half. The cruiser Star Destroyer simply vanished when a projectile traveling at 90% of light speed passed through its center. "Evasive maneuvers," Thane ordered. "Return fire on those asteroids." But there were thousands of asteroids, and hundreds of them had been turned into weapon platforms. Every time the Dominion fleet destroyed one, 2 more revealed themselves and opened fire. Meanwhile, the human defense fleet moved into position. Admiral Cross had learned from the battles at Kepler and Aurora. She knew the Dominion ships were vulnerable to kinetic weapons and boarding actions. "All ships, implement Plan Omega," she broadcast. "Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species that tried to resist the Dominion and failed." The human ships attacked in a way that made no sense to traditional military thinking. Civilian cargo vessels rammed military dreadnoughts. Passenger liners loaded with explosive charges became guided missiles. Even the old space tugs joined the fight, using their powerful engines to push Dominion ships into each other. Captain West commanded a converted passenger liner called the New York. His ship had been a luxury cruise vessel just months ago. Now, it was loaded with nuclear warheads and heading straight for a Dominion carrier. "All hands abandon ship," he ordered calmly. "This is our stop." The New York struck the carrier amidships and detonated, taking both vessels and creating an explosion that could be seen from Mars. But the most shocking surprise came from the moon itself. The entire lunar surface opened up like a flower, revealing massive magnetic accelerators that had been built into the moon's core. These weren't ship-mounted railguns. These were planetary weapons capable of launching projectiles across the entire solar system at speeds that approached light itself. The first shot from Luna Base 1 crossed the system in 8 minutes and struck Emperor Thane's flagship directly. The Pride of Empire, largest ship in the Dominion fleet, was cut in half by a projectile, traveling so fast it appeared to teleport. "Impossible," Thane screamed as his ship broke apart around him. "How can primitives have such weapons?" His science officer, thrown to the deck by the impact, looked up with blood running down his face. "Your Majesty, those aren't primitive weapons. They're using the moon's mass as a weapon platform. They've turned their entire planet into a fortress." More shots came from the lunar surface. Each one destroyed multiple ships as the projectiles passed through the Dominion formation like bullets through paper. But even worse than the big weapons were the small ones. Human children evacuated to Mars for safety had recorded messages for the defenders. The messages were broadcast throughout the battle. "Give them hell, Dad," came a young voice over the comm. "Show them what happens when they mess with humans." Another child's voice. "Mom, I know you're scared, but remember what you taught me. Sometimes you have to fight bullies or they never stop." The psychological effect on the Dominion forces was devastating. These humans were so committed to war that even their children understood and supported it. What kind of species raised their young to think about battle? General Voss, now commanding ground forces aboard converted civilian ships, led boarding actions that were even more brutal than those at Aurora. His soldiers moved through Dominion vessels like they were born for ship-to-ship combat. "Remember," he told his troops over the comm, "they came to our home. They wanted to destroy Earth. Show them what that kind of mistake costs." The boarding actions were swift and merciless. Human soldiers used every dirty trick learned in centuries of warfare against each other. Gas attacks, explosive charges, even trained attack dogs bred for zero-gravity combat. As the battle continued, the Dominion fleet fell apart. Ships tried to retreat but found their escape routes blocked by more asteroids' weapons. The few vessels that made it to the edge of the system were hunted down by fast human interceptors. Emperor Thane, rescued from his destroyed flagship, found himself aboard a damaged cruiser watching his empire's death. "Your Majesty," his communication officer reported, "we're receiving messages from home. The subject species are declaring independence. The K. Outer colonies are in open revolt. Our government is collapsing. Thane stared at the tactical display showing the wreckage of his grand fleet. Of over 2,000 ships, fewer than 100 were still functional. A new transmission came in from Earth. Admiral Cross appeared on the screen, her uniform neat and her expression calm. Emperor Thane, if you're still alive, this is your final warning. Surrender now and we'll treat your surviving crews with respect. Continue fighting and we'll hunt down every Dominion ship in the galaxy. She paused, looking directly at the camera. We told you to stop. We warned you what would happen. This is what happens when you force humans to fight. As the transmission ended, Thane finally understood what his empire had awakened. Not just another species to conquer, but a race of warriors who had spent their entire history learning how to destroy their enemies completely. The Dominion Empire, built over centuries, of conquest was ending in a single day, and it was ending because they had refused to listen to a simple warning: leave humans alone. The neutral space station Harmony Point had seen many diplomatic meetings, but never one like this. Representatives from dozens of species filled the great assembly hall, all watching as Emperor Thane was led to the defendant's chair. The once mighty ruler of the Dominion Empire looked small and broken. His imperial robes had been replaced with simple prisoner clothes. His crown was gone, his empire scattered to the winds. Around him sat his surviving generals and admirals, all awaiting judgment. Ambassador Reed stood at the prosecutor's table, holding a datapad filled with evidence. Beside her sat Captain Torres, recently freed from Dominion custody, and Admiral Cross, still wearing her battle-scarred uniform from the defense of Earth. Judge Kane, a neutral zone arbiter who had overseen peace negotiations for 3 centuries, called the session to order. This tribunal will determine responsibility for the Dominion-Human War and establish terms for lasting peace, he announced. Emperor Thane, you stand accused of unprovoked aggression against peaceful human colonies. How do you respond? Thane raised his head slowly. I did what any emperor would do. I expanded my empire. It's what empires do. Ambassador Reed stepped forward. Your Honor, may I present evidence to the court? She activated her datapad, and holographic displays filled the room. The first image showed a peaceful human colony on a distant world. This is New Haven Colony on Kepler 442b, Reed explained. Population, 15,000 civilians. They farmed, they built homes, they raised families. They had no military ambitions, no desire to conquer anyone. The display changed to show Admiral Vex's fleet arriving at the colony. When Dominion forces arrived, Governor Kane offered peaceful coexistence. He warned Admiral Vex that attacking the colony would lead to consequences. The Admiral ignored this warning. More images appeared. The battle at Kepler, the destruction of Dominion ships, the desperate retreat. After this defeat, we sent more warnings, Reed continued. We offered trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, cultural exchanges. We begged the Dominion to choose peace over war. Emperor Thane shifted uncomfortably in his chair. You were primitives, dangerous primitives. We had to protect civilized space from your violence. Protect? Captain Torres stood up from the witness. Your Honor, may I address the court? Judge Kane nodded. You may speak, Captain. Torres walked to the center of the room, her scarred face showing the wounds of battle. Protect civilized space from us? She said, looking directly at Thane. Let me tell you about protection, Your Majesty. Before your empire found us, we sent diplomatic messages to 46 species. Every single one of them rejected our offers of friendship. The holographic display changed to show communication logs, hundreds of messages sent by human diplomats to various alien species. The Zelons said we were too violent. The Krites called us warlike savages. The Benthari refused to even respond to our messages. Every species in this galaxy turned their backs on us because they thought we were dangerous. Torres paused, letting her words sink in. Then you conquered them anyway. Every single species that rejected human friendship fell to Dominion forces within 50 years. Where was their civilized protection then? Murmurs spread through the assembly hall. Many of the representatives were from species that had been conquered by the Dominion. Dr. Hayes, a human anthropologist, was called to the witness stand. She was a small, elderly woman who spoke with quiet authority. "Your Honor," she began, "I've studied human warfare for 60 years. I want to explain something that I think this court needs to understand." She gestured to a display showing human history. Battles, wars, conflicts spanning thousands of years. Humans are not naturally more violent than other species. We're not born wanting to fight. But we're the only species in known space that developed spaceflight while still at war with ourselves. The display showed images of human wars throughout history, ancient battles with swords, modern conflicts with advanced weapons, space battles between human factions. Every other species achieved peace within their own kind before reaching the stars. They developed diplomacy, cooperation, advanced technology for exploration and trade. Humans had to develop technology for survival against other humans. She turned to face Emperor Thane directly. "When you threatened our colonies, you weren't facing a species that had forgotten how to fight. You were facing a species that had never stopped learning how to fight. Every human weapon, every tactic, every strategy was tested in real combat against other humans first." Dr. Hayes returned to her seat as Ambassador Reed called the final witness. "Your Honor, I call Commander Blake's daughter, Lisa Blake, to the stand." A young woman in her 20s walked to the witness chair. She was the daughter of the commander who had sacrificed his ship at Aurora. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. "My father didn't want to die," she said quietly. "None of our people wanted to die. But when someone threatens your home, threatens your family, you fight. That's what humans do." She looked around the assembly hall at all the alien representatives. "My dad sent 47 warnings to 47 different species, offering friendship and alliance. You all said no. Then this empire conquered you anyway, just like we warned you they would." Her voice grew stronger. "My father died protecting people who had rejected his friendship. He died protecting species that called him a savage. He did it because it was right, not because anyone thanked him for it." The young woman wiped her eyes. "We don't want to be the galaxy's warriors. We don't want to be the ones everyone calls when there's fighting to be done. We just want to live in peace. But if someone forces us to fight, we're going to win." The tribunal fell silent. Judge Kane reviewed his notes before speaking. "Emperor Thane, the evidence shows that humans repeatedly attempted peaceful contact with your empire. They warned you of the consequences of aggression. They offered alternatives to war. You chose to ignore these warnings and attack their colonies." Thane's voice was barely a whisper. I thought we were stronger." "Your mistake," Judge Kane replied, "was not understanding what strength means to humans. You saw their weapons and ships and thought them primitive. You didn't understand that humans have been fighting for survival for their entire existence." Judge stood to deliver his verdict. "This tribunal finds the Dominion Empire guilty of unprovoked aggression. Emperor Thane, you are sentenced to exile on a neutral world where you will study human history and diplomacy until you understand why this war was unnecessary." He turned to address the full assembly. "The Dominion Empire is hereby dissolved. All conquered species are granted immediate independence. Reparations will be paid to worlds damaged during Dominion expansion." Then Judge Kane looked directly at the human delegation. "However, this tribunal also recognizes that a new order must emerge from the chaos. The humans have proven they can defend themselves and others. We ask them to consider a new role, not as conquerors but as protectors." Ambassador Reed stood slowly. "Your Honor, humans have no desire to rule other species. But if any world faces unprovoked aggression, if any species needs protection from those who would conquer them, we will answer that call." She paused, looking around the room at representatives of dozens of species. "We hope that next time when humans offer friendship, more species will say yes. We hope that next time we won't have to fight alone." 3 months later, a memorial was dedicated on Earth. It listed every Dominion soldier who had died in the war, not just the humans, but their enemies as well, The inscription read, "They were warned. We remember them anyway. May we never have to warn anyone again." Captain Torres, now promoted to admiral, stood before the memorial with a group of young cadets from various species, the first class of the new Galactic Defense Academy. "What's the most important lesson of this war?" she asked them. A young Zalon raised his hand. "That humans are good fighters?" Torres shook her head. "No, the most important lesson is that we tried 47 times to avoid this war. We offered friendship, trade, alliance, protection. We warned everyone what would happen if they forced us to fight." She looked at each of the young cadets, humans, Zelons, Krites, even a few former Dominion species. "War should always be the last choice, never the first. But when someone threatens innocent people, when someone refuses to listen to warnings, when someone chooses conquest over cooperation..." She paused, letting them think. "Then you do what humans have always done. You fight to win, and you protect those who can't protect themselves." As the sun set over the memorial, Torres wondered if the galaxy had finally learned the lesson that humans had been trying to teach for so long. That peace is precious precisely because it's so hard to achieve, and that sometimes the only way to preserve peace is to be ready for war. The warnings had been sent. The lessons had been learned. Perhaps next time someone would listen. The stars had always belonged to the Vortani Empire. For 3,000 years their ships had crossed the galaxy like moving death. No world could stand against them. No species had ever won a fight with their fleet. Commander Rex stood on the bridge of his warship. The ship was called Deathbringer. It was the biggest, strongest ship the Vortani had ever built. Rex looked at the blue planet spinning below them. Earth looked so small and weak. "Sir, we are in position," said his officer Tom. Tom's green skin was darker than most Vortani. His 4 eyes blinked as he read the ship's screens. Rex smiled. His sharp teeth showed. "Good. What do our scans tell us about this world?" "The humans are very basic, Commander. They still use rockets to leave their planet. Their weapons shoot metal bullets. They have no energy shields. No space fleet." Rex laughed. It was a cold sound. "Perfect. This will be easy." The Deathbringer was not just any ship. It was a test ship. The Vortani had built new weapons on it. They needed to try these weapons on someone weak first. Earth seemed perfect for this test. "Why did we not find this planet before?" Rex asked. Tom checked his data. "It was hidden behind a gas cloud, sir. Our first scans missed it 50 years ago. But it does not matter. They are too weak to be a problem." Rex walked to the big window at the front of the bridge. Earth looked peaceful. White clouds moved over blue oceans. He could see lights on the dark side where humans lived in their cities. "They do not even know we are here yet," Rex said. "How long before they see us?" "Their space eyes will spot us in 10 minutes, sir." Rex nodded. The plan was simple. Show the humans their ship, scare them, then test the new weapons on their cities. After that, they would report back to the Empire. The test would be complete. "Sir, we have a message from the Empire," said another. "Officer, put it on screen." The face of General Zod appeared on the big screen. Zod was old and had many scars on his blue face. He had fought in 100 wars. "Rex, remember why you are there," Zod said. "Test the new weapons. See how they work against a real target. But do not destroy everything too fast. We need good data." "Yes, General. How long should the test take?" "A few days at most. These humans cannot fight back. Just don't get bored and end it too quick." The message ended. Rex turned back to the window. Soon the humans would see their ship. Soon they would know fear. "Sir," Tom called out. "The humans have found us. Their satellites are pointing at us. Their radio waves are going crazy." Rex watched the planet below. He could imagine the panic down there. People running in the streets, their leaders trying to call for help that would never come. "Move us lower," Rex ordered. "I want to be right over their biggest cities. Show them how big our ship is." The Deathbringer was huge. It was 5 miles long and 2 miles wide. When it moved over New York City, it blocked out the sun. The ship's shadow covered the whole city. "Sir, they are trying to talk to us," Tom said. What are they saying? Many things. Who are you? What do you want? Please don't hurt us. The usual fear talk. Rex thought for a moment maybe he should talk to them first. It might be fun to watch them beg. Open a channel to their whole planet, he said. Tom pushed some buttons. A light turned green. Humans of Earth, Rex said in a loud voice. His words went to every radio and TV on the planet. We are the Vortani Empire. Your world now belongs to us. You have one choice. Give up now, or we will destroy your cities one by one. Rex waited. He expected the humans to surrender right away. Most species did when they saw a Vortani ship. But something strange happened. The radio messages from Earth did not sound scared anymore. They sounded curious. Sir? Tom said, looking confused. They are asking about our ship. They want to know how it flies, how our weapons work, what metal we used to build it. What? Rex could not believe it. They should be afraid, not asking questions. There's more, sir. They are pointing all kinds of machines at us, not weapons, machines that scan things. They are studying our ship. Rex felt angry. This was not how it was supposed to work. Humans were supposed to be afraid. They were supposed to cry and beg. Move over their capital city, he said. The one called Washington. Let's see if their leaders are braver than they should be. The ship moved slowly across the sky. Below, Rex could see tiny cars stopped on roads. People were standing outside looking up at his ship, but they were not running away. They were taking pictures. Sir, we're getting reports from all over the planet, Tom said. Humans everywhere are watching us, but they're not hiding. They're studying us. Rex hit his fist on the control panel. Then let's give them something to really fear. Charge the plasma cannon. Target an empty area near their capital. Just a small blast. That should wake them up. The ship's weapons began to charge up. A low humming sound filled the bridge. Rex smiled. After they saw what his weapons could do, the humans would remember how to be afraid. But as he looked down at Earth, Rex saw something that made him pause. In the city below, people were not running away from where his ship pointed its weapons. Instead, they were moving closer. They had set up machines and cameras. They wanted to see what would happen. Commander, Tom said quietly, I think these humans might be different from other species we have fought. Rex did not answer. He was starting to think the same thing. But it did not matter. The test had to continue. The Empire was waiting for results. Fire, he ordered. Bright beam of energy shot down from the ship. It hit an empty field outside the city. The blast was small, just enough to make a crater and some smoke. Rex waited for the panic, but instead, within minutes, human vehicles were racing toward the blast site. Scientists with machines, soldiers with tools. They wanted to study what his weapon had done. For the first time in his long career, Commander Rex felt something he had never felt before when facing an enemy. He felt uncertain. Dr. Anna Smith stared at her computer screen. She worked at a big science lab in Switzerland. For the past 6 hours, she had been studying the alien ship above Earth. What she found made her excited, not scared. Look at this, she said to her team. Their energy shield has a pattern. It pulses every 2.3 seconds. That means it needs to reset itself. Her partner, Dr. Mike Brown, looked at the data. You're right. And see these readings? Their ship is heavy, but it's not using much power to fly. That's not normal. Anna smiled. It means they have weak spots, big ones. Around the world, other humans were making the same discoveries. The aliens had made a big mistake. They thought humans were too stupid to understand their technology. But humans were very good at figuring things out. In Russia, Colonel Boris Petrov watched the alien ship through his binoculars. He had fought in many wars. He knew how to spot weaknesses in enemy weapons. Look how they fly, he told his officers. Always straight lines, no fancy moves, no tricks. They fight like robots, not soldiers. What does that mean, sir? Asked his young lieutenant. It means they are used to fighting scared enemies. Enemies who run away fast. They don't know how to fight enemies who fight back smart. Boris picked up his phone. He needed to call other military leaders around the world. The humans needed to work together. Back on the alien ship, Commander Rex was getting angry. It had been 12 hours since he fired his weapon. The humans should be surrendering by now. Instead, they were doing something very strange. "Sir," Tom reported, "the humans have surrounded our blast crater with machines. They are taking pieces of the melted ground. They are studying everything." Rex looked at the screen showing Earth. Below, hundreds of humans were working at the blast site. They had big trucks and small cars. Scientists and soldiers worked side by side. "What are they learning?" Rex asked. "We don't know, sir, but they are sharing information very fast. Their internet carries data all over the planet in seconds." Rex had never seen anything like this before. When the Vortani attacked other worlds, people either surrendered or fought back with whatever weapons they had. Nobody had ever tried to study Vortani technology during a battle. "Maybe we should attack a real target," suggested another officer, named Paul. "Show them we are serious." Rex thought about it. General Zod wanted a slow test, but maybe the humans needed a stronger message. "Target their power station in the big city," Rex ordered. "Just damage it, don't destroy it completely." The ship's weapons charged up again. This time, Rex aimed at a power plant outside London. The plasma beam hit the building and knocked out electricity for half the city. Rex expected chaos. Instead, something amazing happened. Within 10 minutes, humans had backup power running. Mobile generators appeared from nowhere. Food trucks arrived to feed the workers. People shared their phone batteries with strangers. The city kept working like nothing had happened. Dr. Anna Smith got a call from her friend in London. "Dr. Emma White." "Anna, you need to see this data," Emma said. "When they hit our power plant, their weapon beam scattered. I measured the scatter pattern. Their weapons can't focus properly in our atmosphere." "What? Are you sure?" "Yes, and there's more. The beam lost 30% of its power by the time it hit the ground. Their weapons are designed for space fights, not planet fights." Anna felt her heart beat faster. "Emma, send me everything. I need to share this with everyone." Around the world, the human internet was buzzing. Scientists shared discoveries. Military officers shared plans. Engineers shared ideas. In just one day, humans learned more about the alien ship than Rex thought possible. In Japan, engineer Kenji Tanaka was working on something special. He had studied the alien ship's energy patterns. Now he was building a device to copy their shield technology. "If we can make their shields," he told his team, "we can learn how to break their shields." In America, pilot Sarah Johnson was meeting with other fighter pilots. They were making plans. "Their ship is big and slow," she said. "It's built to scare enemies, not to catch fast-moving targets. If we can make our jets faster, we can fly circles around them." "But their weapons are still dangerous," another pilot said. "Only if they can hit us. And Anna's team says their weapons don't work well in our air. We just need to be smart." Back on the alien ship, Rex was getting worried. The humans were not acting like any enemy he had ever fought. "Sir," Tom said nervously, "the humans are doing something new. They are moving their military machines. But not to attack us, they are hiding them." "Hiding them where?" "Underground. Underwater. In their forests. It's like they are preparing for a long fight." Rex did not understand. Most species either gave up quickly or attacked right away. The humans were doing neither. They were planning something. "Sir, we have another problem," Paul reported. "The humans are watching us with thousands of satellites. Every time we move, they track us. They know exactly where we are all the time." Rex felt frustrated. This was supposed to be a simple test. Show up, scare the humans, test the weapons, go home. Instead, the humans were turning it into some kind of science experiment. "Get me General Zod," Rex ordered. When the general appeared, on screen he looked confused. "Rex, your reports make no sense. The humans are not surrendering, but they are not really fighting either. What are they doing?" "I don't know, sir. They act like they are studying for a test. They take our attacks and learn from them. Then they prepare for the next attack. General Zod was quiet for a moment. That's impossible. No primitive species does that. These humans are different, sir. They share information faster than we can stop them. They work together better than our own crews. And they seem to think our attacks are interesting. Interesting? Yes, sir. Like they want to see what we will do next. Not because they are scared, but because they are curious. General Zod looked angry. Rex, you have the most powerful ship in the fleet. Stop playing games. Show these humans real power. Make them surrender. Yes, sir. The connection ended. Rex looked out at Earth again. The blue planet looked the same as before, but Rex was starting to realize that looks could be very deceiving. Tom, prepare our strongest weapon. Target their biggest military base. Which one, sir? Rex smiled coldly. All of them. Let's see how curious they are when we really start fighting. But as Rex gave the order, he did not know that the humans were no longer just watching and learning. They were ready to fight back. And they had learned things about his ship that even he did not know. Commander Rex grabbed onto his command chair as another explosion shook the Deathbringer. The human jets were everywhere, attacking from all directions. His shields were down to 20% and falling fast. Tom, get me a damage report, Rex shouted over the noise of alarms. Tom's 4 eyes were wide with fear. Sir, we've lost 3 weapon systems. Engine power is down to half, and the humans are doing something new. What now? They're not just attacking us, sir. They're learning from every shot they fire. Each attack is stronger than the last one. Rex looked at the main screen. It showed dozens of human jets flying around his ship. But these jets were not fighting like any enemy he had ever seen. They worked together like parts of one big machine. Sarah Johnson led the first squadron of jets. She spoke into her radio to the other pilots around the world. Team Alpha, hit the left side. Team Beta, take the right. Team Charlie, stay ready for when their shields drop completely. How do you know when the shields will drop? Asked pilot Mark Davis from his jet over the Pacific Ocean. Dr. Anna is monitoring everything from her lab, Sarah replied. She can see their shield power in real time. When it hits 0, she'll tell us. Back in her lab in Switzerland, Dr. Anna Smith was watching dozens of computer screens. Each screen showed different information about the alien ship. She had teams of scientists around the world all sharing data with her. Shield power dropping faster now, she announced over the global communication network. Their main reactor is overheating. When it shuts down to cool off, we'll have 30 seconds with no shields at all. In Russia, Colonel Boris Petrov was ready with his surprise. He had spent 2 days preparing something special. Hidden in a forest outside Moscow was the biggest tank ever built by humans. But it was not really a tank anymore. Sir, the alien shield readings are critical, his lieutenant reported. Good. When Dr. Smith gives the signal, we fire everything we have, Boris said. The tank was actually a mobile platform carrying a massive energy cannon. Russian engineers had built it using alien technology they had learned from the internet. It could fire one shot powerful enough to punch a hole through any spaceship. On the Deathbringer, Rex was getting desperate. His crew was panicking. Half his weapons were broken, and the humans kept adapting to everything he tried. Sir, maybe we should retreat, Paul suggested. Call for backup from the Empire. Never, Rex snarled. We do not run from primitives. Charge the main plasma cannon. I'll destroy their entire planet if I have to. Tom looked scared. Sir, that will take all our remaining power. If we miss, we'll have no energy left for shields or engines. Do it anyway. As the Deathbringer's main weapon began charging up, every human on Earth could see the bright glow building up under the ship. President Garcia sat in her command center, watching the readings from scientists around the world. Dr. Smith, how long until they can fire that big weapon? She asked. Anna's voice came over the speaker. 5 minutes to full charge, Madam President. But they're pulling power from their shields to do it. This is our chance. All units, this is it, President Garcia announced to all human forces worldwide. Give them everything we've got. What happened next was the most coordinated attack in human history. Submarines fired missiles from every ocean. Fighter jets attacked from every direction. Ground-based weapons that had been hidden for days finally revealed themselves. But the most surprising attack came from space itself. 3. Days ago, tech billionaire Robert Tesla had quietly launched 12 small satellites. They looked like normal communication satellites, so the aliens ignored them. But hidden inside each satellite was a powerful laser cannon built with copied alien technology. "Satellite weapons are in position," Robert announced from his control center. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. 12 laser beams shot down from space, hitting the Deathbringer from above. The aliens had never thought to watch for attacks from their own direction. Rex screamed in rage as his ship was hit from everywhere at once. "This is impossible! Humans don't have space weapons!" "They do now, sir," Tom replied, reading his instruments in panic. "And their ground weapons are using our own technology against us." The massive Russian cannon fired its single shot. The energy beam was so powerful it lit up the sky like a second sun. It hit the Deathbringer's main engine and punched a hole straight through the ship. "Main engine is gone," Paul shouted. "We're losing altitude." Rex watched his perfect warship falling apart around him, but the humans were not done yet. Captain Lisa Rodriguez had been waiting for this moment. She commanded a team of astronauts who had secretly modified the International Space Station. When the alien ship began falling, her team was ready. "ISS, to all Earth forces," Lisa announced. "The alien ship is falling, but it's still dangerous. We're going to board it." "Board it?" Rex heard the transmission and couldn't believe it. "They want to get on our ship?" The modified space station shot out cable lines that attached to the Deathbringer. Within minutes, 20 human astronauts in spacesuits were climbing across the cables toward the alien ship. These astronauts were not carrying normal space tools. They had weapons and cutting equipment built from alien technology. They planned to take control of the Deathbringer from the inside. "Sir, humans are on our ship," Tom reported in terror. "They're cutting through our hull." Rex grabbed his personal weapon and ran toward the hull breach. He would show these primitive humans what a Vortani warrior could do in close combat. But when Rex reached the breach, he found something that shocked him. The human astronauts were not trying to destroy his ship. They were trying to save it. "Careful with those power lines," Lisa Rodriguez told her team as they worked inside the alien ship. "We want to capture this ship, not wreck it. Think of what we can learn from it." One of her astronauts, Mike Chen, was already working on the alien computer systems. "Lisa, I think I can access their navigation data. We could learn about other worlds, other species." Rex realized with horror that the humans were not just defeating him. They were planning to steal his ship and use it to explore the galaxy themselves. "Stop!" Rex shouted, firing his weapon at the humans. But the humans were ready for him too. They had studied Vortani weapons from the wreckage of every shot fired at Earth. Their spacesuits were built to stop Vortani energy blasts. Lisa Rodriguez turned to face Rex. Through her helmet visor, she smiled at him. "Commander Rex, I presume. We need to talk." Rex looked around at his ruined ship, his panicked crew, and the humans who had boarded his vessel like they owned it. For the first time in his life, he felt truly afraid. The Deathbringer was falling toward Earth's ocean, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. President Maria Garcia put down her phone after talking to the leaders of Russia, China, Britain, and 50 other countries. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth was working together. They had one enemy now, the alien ship, above their heads. "What's our status?" she asked General James Miller, the head of America's military. "Better than expected, Madam President. The scientists have been sharing everything they learned about the alien ship. We know its weak spots now. We're ready to fight." Maria looked at the big screen showing the alien ship. It looked scary and powerful. But she had faith in her people. Humans were good at solving problems, especially dangerous ones. In Switzerland, Dr. Anna Smith was working with a team of scientists from around the world. They had been awake for 2 days straight, drinking coffee and sharing ideas. "We've cracked their shield system," she announced to the video call with scientists in 20 countries. Kenji in Japan built a working copy. Emma in London found the frequency that shuts it down, and Dr. Patel in India figured out how to boost our own signals. Dr. Patel nodded from his lab in Mumbai. If we coordinate all our radio towers and satellites, we can jam their shields for exactly 17 seconds. That's our window. 17 seconds, Anna repeated. Can our military work with that? On another screen, General Miller joined the call. 17 seconds is plenty. Our pilots are ready. Around the world, humans were preparing for war in ways the aliens could never imagine. In the ocean, submarine, crews were attaching homemade rockets to their ships. In the sky, pilots were testing jets with new engines built from alien technology they had copied. Captain Dave Roberts sat in his submarine deep under the Pacific Ocean. His crew had worked for 2 days to attach special missiles to their submarine. The missiles were built using designs that scientists had shared on the internet. "Are you sure these will work?" asked his second officer, Lieutenant Amy Chen. "The scientists are smart," Dave said. "If they say these missiles can punch through alien shields, I believe them." Around the world, 12 submarines were hiding. Underwater, all carrying the same special missiles. The aliens could not see them from space. In the Nevada desert, pilot Sarah Johnson was testing a fighter jet that looked very different from normal jets. Engineers had attached new engines and new weapons. The jet could fly twice as fast as before. "How does it feel?" asked her mechanic, Tony Martinez. "Like riding a rocket," Sarah said with a big smile. "The aliens won't know what hit them." 50 jets just like Sarah's were hidden in secret places around the world. Underground hangars, forest clearings, and desert bases. The aliens thought humans only had old, slow jets. They were wrong. Commander Rex stood on his ship's bridge preparing for his biggest attack yet. He had orders to destroy all major military bases on Earth. That would show the humans who was boss. "All weapons ready, sir," Tom reported. "Good. Start with their base in America. Then Russia, then China. Hit them fast and hard." But as Rex prepared to fire, something happened that he did not expect. Every radio and TV signal on Earth suddenly started broadcasting the same message. It was President Garcia speaking to the whole world. "People of Earth," she said calmly, "today we face our greatest challenge. But we do not face it alone. We face it together, as one human family. We have learned about our enemy. We know their weaknesses. And now we fight back." Rex laughed. "Brave words from a primitive species. Fire all weapons." The Deathbringer unleashed its full power. Plasma beams shot down at military bases in America, Russia, and China. The explosions were huge and bright. Rex smiled as he watched the destruction, but his smile disappeared quickly. The humans had been ready. In America, the military base Rex attacked was empty. All the planes, tanks, and soldiers had moved to secret locations 2 hours ago. The base exploded, but no one was hurt. In Russia, Colonel Boris Petrov watched the alien attack from a hill 5 miles away. "Just as we planned," he said into his radio. "They hit the fake base perfectly. All our real equipment is safe." In China, General Liu Wei smiled as he watched the alien ship waste its energy on empty buildings. "They attack like robots," he told his officers. "They see a military base and attack it without checking if anyone is actually there." Rex stared at his screens in confusion. "Where are all their soldiers? Where are their weapons?" "Sir," Tom said nervously, "our scans show the bases were empty. The humans moved everything before we attacked." "That's impossible. How did they know we were going to attack those bases?" Tom checked his instruments. "Sir, I think they've been watching us very carefully. Every time we point our weapons somewhere, they see which direction we aim. They knew where we would attack." Rex felt angry and confused. Every other species he had fought was predictable. They either ran away or fought back in obvious ways. The humans were doing something completely different. "Sir," Paul shouted suddenly, "we have incoming missiles. Lots of them." On the screen, Rex saw 12 trails of fire rising from the oceans around the world. The submarine missiles were heading straight for his ship. "Impossible," Rex said. "Our scans showed no enemy ships." "They came from underwater, sir. We can't scan through water very well." The missiles hit the Deathbringer's shields. Normally, the shields would stop any human weapon easily. But these missiles were different. They had been built using alien technology that humans had figured out in just 2 days. The shields flickered and sparked. Warning lights flashed all over the bridge. "Shields down to 60%, Tom reported. Before Rex could respond, Sarah Johnson's voice crackled over the radio from her fighter jet. "This is Earth Defense Force. We're coming for you." 50 fighter jets appeared from nowhere, rising from hidden bases all over the world. They moved faster than any human jets Rex had ever seen. They had been upgraded with copied alien technology. "Sir, those jets are too fast," Paul said. "They're faster than our targeting systems." The jets swarmed around the Deathbringer like angry bees. They fired missiles and energy weapons that the humans had built by copying alien designs. Each hit made the alien shields weaker. Rex watched in shock as his mighty ship was being attacked by primitive humans using his own technology. Against him. "How is this possible?" he whispered. Dr. Anna Smith's voice came over the radio from her lab in Switzerland. "Commander Rex, can you hear me? We've been studying your ship for 3 days. We know everything about it. Your shields, your weapons, your engines. We built copies of all of it." "You're lying," Rex shouted back. "Humans are too primitive." "We're not primitive," Anna said calmly. "We're adaptable. We learn fast. And we work together. 3 things your empire never learned to do." Rex looked around his bridge. His crew was panicking. His ship was under attack by enemies using his own weapons. His shields were failing. For the first time in 3,000 years of galactic conquest, a Vortani commander was losing a battle. And he was losing it to a species that wasn't supposed to be able to fight back at all. The Deathbringer crashed into the Pacific Ocean with a massive splash. The impact sent waves 50 feet high racing toward the shore. But the ship did not sink. Human engineers had planned for this too. Captain Dave Roberts surfaced his submarine, right next to the crashed alien ship. His crew had been waiting underwater for hours. They quickly attached floating devices to keep the Deathbringer on the surface. "Ship secured," Dave reported over the radio. "The aliens are trapped inside but alive." On the bridge of the crashed ship, Commander Rex sat in his broken command chair. Water was leaking through cracks in the hull. Half his crew was injured. The other half was too scared to move. "Sir," Tom said quietly, "what do we do now?" Rex had no answer. In 3,000 years of galactic conquest, no Vortani commander had ever faced this situation. They had never lost a battle, let alone been captured by primitives. The sound of cutting tools echoed through the ship. The humans were opening new holes in the hull to get inside. Rex could hear their voices getting closer. "Remember, Captain," Lisa Rodriguez told her boarding team, "we want prisoners, not bodies. These aliens have information we need." Rex stood up and threw his weapon on the floor. "I surrender," he called out in the human language he had learned for this mission. Lisa Rodriguez and her team entered the alien bridge. She looked around at the advanced technology, the injured alien crew, and finally at Rex himself. "So you're the famous Commander Rex," she said, removing her helmet, "the one who thought Earth would be an easy test." Rex looked at the human woman standing in front of him. She was smaller than him, with no claws or fangs. She looked completely ordinary. But she had just defeated the most powerful ship in the year, Galaxy. "How?" Rex asked. "How did you beat us?" Lisa smiled. "You want to know our secret? We'll show you." Over the next few hours, Rex and his crew were taken to a human facility built on a floating platform next to their crashed ship. They were not hurt or tortured. Instead, they were shown something that shocked them more than any weapon could have. Dr. Anna Smith stood in front of a huge screen showing the internet. "This is how we beat you," she explained to Rex. "When you attacked us, every human on Earth started working together. Scientists shared discoveries. Engineers shared designs. Military officers shared plans." Rex watched the screen showing millions of humans all over the planet working on the same problem. But you are different nations. You fight each other. Our scouts told us humans never cooperate." "Usually that's true," President Garcia said as she joined the conversation by video link. But you gave us something we've never had before. A common enemy. When you threatened all of humanity, we stopped being Americans and Russians and Chinese. We became just humans. Dr. Anna pointed to another screen. In 3 days, we learned more about your technology than your own engineers. No. We had thousands of scientists studying every piece of data. We built weapons and shields using your own designs. Rex felt confused and amazed. Your species shared military secrets with each other? Even enemies worked together? Former enemies, corrected General Miller. When aliens threaten Earth, there are no enemies among humans, only humans. But the biggest shock was yet to come. Lisa Rodriguez led Rex to another room where human engineers were already taking apart pieces of the Deathbringer. We're not just studying your ship, Lisa explained. We're improving it. Look at this. She showed Rex a human-built engine that was smaller but more powerful than the Vortani version. Your engineers built this to be big and scary. Our engineers built it to be efficient and smart. Rex stared at the human improvements to his technology. But you're primitives. You barely have spaceflight. We had barely any spaceflight, Lisa corrected. That was yesterday. Today we're building a fleet. She led Rex to a window. Outside he could see dozens of human ships being built using technology copied from the Deathbringer. But these ships were not copies. They were better. Your ships are built for fear, Lisa explained. Big, scary, designed to make enemies surrender without fighting. Our ships are built for exploration and defense. Smaller, faster, smarter. Rex watched human workers building spaceships faster than he thought possible. Where will you go with these ships? Everywhere, said Dr. Anna, joining them at the window. Your ship's computer had navigation data for thousands of worlds. We know where other species live. We want to meet them. To conquer them, Rex asked. Anna shook her head. To trade with them. To learn from them. To make friends with them. Most humans don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to explore it. Rex felt a chill run down his spine. The Empire will send more ships, bigger ships, when they learn what happened here. We're counting on it, President Garcia said from the video screen. Let them come. We'll be ready. Lisa Rodriguez walked over to a communication console. In fact, why don't you tell them yourself? Send a message to your Empire. Tell them what you learned. Rex looked at the console, then at the humans around him. They were not angry or cruel. They were curious and excited. They had defeated his ship not out of hatred but out of determination to protect their home. Slowly, Rex activated the communication system. The face of General Zod appeared on the screen. Rex, finally, what is your status? Why haven't you reported? Rex looked at the human faces watching him. They had given him a choice. He could lie to his empire or he could tell the truth. General, Rex said quietly, the test failed. What do you mean failed? Are the new weapons broken? No, sir. The weapons work fine, but the humans, they are not what we thought. General Zod looked confused. Explain. Rex took a deep breath. Sir, I recommend that the Empire never come to this world. The humans are dangerous. Dangerous. Rex, they're primitives with metal bullets. No, sir. They learn faster than we can. Teach them. They work together better than our own crews. They turned our own weapons against us. They captured our ship, and now they're building a fleet using our technology. General Zod's face went pale. That's impossible. Sir, they defeated the Deathbringer in 3 days. 3 days, General. They went from metal bullets to plasma cannons in 72 hours. Rex looked at Lisa Rodriguez, who nodded encouragingly. General Zod, Rex continued, in my official report I recommend that we avoid Earth completely. These humans are not primitives. They are the most dangerous species I have ever encountered. Not because they are strong, but because they never stop learning, never stop adapting, never stop working together when threatened. The transmission ended with General Zod staring in shock. Lisa Rodriguez put her hand on Rex's shoulder. Thank you for telling the truth. What happens to me and my crew now? Rex asked. You can go home if you want, Lisa said. Or you can stay and help us explore the galaxy. Your choice. Rex looked out the window at the human ships being built. For the first time in his life, he was looking at the future of space exploration. And it was not the future his empire had planned. I think, Rex said slowly, I would like to stay and see what humans do next. Lisa smiled. Welcome to Earth, Commander Rex. Let's explore the stars together. Outside, the first human starship lifted off from Earth's surface, heading toward the stars with a mixed crew of humans and former enemies who had learned that cooperation was stronger than conquest. The galaxy would never be the same.